Hello and welcome to All, an authentic ninja who reveals some of his ancestral and deadly techniques. A Shaolin monk made of titanium who can take a hit like a real tank, or a Matrix-like dodge. Here are the 10 martial arts fighters who shocked the world with their incredible feats. Let's get started. In Muay Thai, reality very often exceeds fiction, and what you thought was practically impossible can quickly unfold before your stunned eyes. Look at this sequence worthy of a Hollywood blockbuster, which comes from a match opposing the Kyrgyz fighter Rafael Fiziev to his Thai counterpart Sorgra Pechindi. On these images, just unbelievable. You can see a Matrix-like dodge that Neo himself could not match. Indeed, while the Thai boxer sent a powerful kick towards the head of the Kyrgyz, the latter literally leaned back with a 45 degrees angle. Thanks to this incredible but true movement, Rafael Fiziev was able to dodge the Thai missile that would have certainly knocked him out. The Kyrgyz fighter is probably also the only martial artist in the world to have been able to perform this superb dodge. At least it is the only one of this kind to have been filmed by camera. We always tell you on this channel that the Shaolin monks are practically invulnerable, and that the ancestral kung fu that they practice makes them real superhumans. Well, on this sequence, you will see that we are not telling you lies, I promise. Because the fighter we're going to talk about today is nothing less than a Terminator, made of tungsten titanium alloy that is resolutely indestructible. And we can guarantee you that even with a steamroller, you won't be able to make him bite the dust. Yi Long is indeed one of the toughest fighters in existence, able to withstand the avalanche of blows without even batting an eye. These insane images show him facing Buakaw Benchamek, a Thai world champion of Muay Thai, one of the most violent and dangerous combat sports on the planet. Its practitioners are real killing machines, since they are allowed to hit their opponent with elbows and knees. But by facing the Shaolin monk, the Thai boxer certainly did not expect so much pugnacity and resistance from him. Buakaw Benchamek had the habit of quickly sending his opponents to the mat and had the reputation as a real killer. Yi Long ended up losing this epic fight on points because his opponent hit him so hard. But one thing is certain, it is that the young Shaolin monk could have won on the long term because his stamina would have allowed him to finally run out of breath the Thai, who was already showing signs of exhaustion. Now let's make way for a sequence that is, to say the least, exotic, since it takes us straight to deep Japan, to the picturesque town of Iga in the east of the island of Honshu. We are more precisely in Iga Ueno, the mythical district that saw the birth of ninjas and shinobis. It is indeed in this place, full of history, that we find the fabulous Iga Castle, the one that served as headquarters to the various clans of ninjas at the time of feudal Japan. And as every year, a ninja festival takes place there, lasting no less than 5 weeks, and gathering the greatest practitioners of ninjutsu. On this sequence, you will attend a rare demonstration of a true ninja, holder of ancestral techniques kept secret during all these centuries. Admire his total mastery of the katana sword and the disconcerting ease with which he cuts into pieces these bamboo trunks. With a speed and precision worthy of Fruit Ninja, this authentic shinobi could easily slice you in two with a simple backhand of his razor-sharp sword. And if you still doubt his quasi-mystical powers, watch him wield the various deadly ninja weapons, shuriken, kamas, or even kusarigama. So many particularly lethal objects, and that you should not put in any hand because you could well lose feathers. Taekwondo is a martial art that comes from South Korea and which focuses mainly on kicks, thanks to sometimes ultra-spectacular movements. In this exciting video, we will introduce you to one of the best practitioners of this sport, and you just have to see him at work to realize that he has certainly not usurped this title. This man is indeed able to jump more than 2 meters in the air and hit his target with a force and a precision that are disconcerting to say the least. His super powerful blows and his incredible release, combined with an almost feline flexibility, make this athlete a more than formidable opponent. Just look at this poor dummy and the horrible blows he takes, and then you can perhaps measure the power of these strikes. Just imagine that it is your worst enemy who was in the place of this unfortunate dummy and who takes all the blows in his face. Admit it, the prospect of witnessing such a spectacle is rather tempting, isn't it? But don't worry, This Taekwondo champion is as gentle as a lamb outside the tatami, and he won't hurt a fly. The following sequence takes us to the People's Republic of China, where one of the most breathtaking martial arts shows in the world takes place every year. The China National Wushu Games is indeed a competition that attracts the best kung fu talents from all over the Middle Kingdom. And we can assure you of one thing, it is that the show is worth the detour. Admire these two young, fierce warriors and the amazing fight choreography they execute with grace. The attacks, with the pike and the dodges, follow one another in a kind of fairy ballet, but particularly dangerous. Because in the slightest error, the consequences could be highly tragic. The sharp blade of this traditional Chinese weapon could indeed cause immense devastation to the young fighter. But these two, Xena the warrior, don't really have anything to worry about, since they are overtrained and conditioned since their youngest age, and that this kind of feat is for them a simple routine exercise. Drunken Man Kung Fu, or Zhui Quan, is one of the most spectacular and unusual styles of Kung Fu, and in spite of its funny, even absurd side, it is an extremely formidable martial art and a very effective weapon in the hands of the one who masters it. In this sequence, you will witness a real fight between a seasoned MMA practitioner and an authentic Kung Fu master of the Drunken Man. Staggering like a Saturday night drunk, the venerable Wing Chun master completely baffled his young opponent, plunging him with his jerky and unpredictable movements into almost total confusion. Indeed, how on earth can one fight with someone who can't even stand on his feet? And even if this advanced state of inebriation is simulated, the fact remains that it is very effective against any opponent, including this MMA fighter who is well experienced in combat. As you can see on these just unbelievable pictures, this Kung Fu master alternates between attack and defense with a lucidity and an efficiency like no other, dodging the blows and striking in turn in a dazzling and spectacular way. Appearances are often deceiving, and the one who may seem completely drunk and good for a detox cure may well be a great and almost invincible Shaolin master. Capoeira is a Brazilian martial art which originated among groups of slaves brought back from Black Africa during the shameful era of the slave trade. These slaves were not allowed to fight each other, so they created this amazing martial art, mixing songs and dances, which looked like a simple celebration of slaves, or brincadeira, as they were called in Brazil. This allowed them to settle their disputes by fighting, while hiding these fights under the air of an acrobatic dance show, which did not arouse suspicion towards them. But capoeira is far from being a harmless dance or a kind of breakdance with Brazilian sauce, because it is a real combat sport with particularly effective techniques and spectacular and dangerous movements. On this sequence, you will understand how this martial art can be formidable. On this full HD footage, you can see the Brazilian wrestler Marcus Lelo Aurelio wearing white shorts, facing his opponent, the Canadian Keegan Marshall, in an MMA match. But in the first 20 seconds, Keegan is quickly knocked out by the Brazilian capoeira practitioner, who gave him a powerful back kick worthy of an arcade video game. We continue our incredible list of legendary fighters who have certainly left their mark in history with this sequence that certainly does not lack muscles. You will probably recognize these two guys at first sight, as they have become famous in the last years. It is, of course, the inimitable and incorrigible Conor McGregor, as well as the imposing mountain of muscle and star of the Game of Thrones series, Gregor Clegane, nicknamed The Mountain. On these almost surreal images, we can see a match between these two guys, and the least we can say is that the fight seems rather unequal. Because from the top of his 2.05 meters and his 205 kilos, the actor and Icelandic strongman dominates McGregor of several heads. Although far from being a pipsqueak, the MMA champion is not really a match for this Everest standing in front of him, and his only recourse is to dodge his attacks and run away from him. Because Conor McGregor is certainly not suicidal, nor is he stupid, and he knows very well when to step aside. And in front of this monster, who can lift more than 500 kilograms from the ground, it is more than wise indeed to keep a low profile and not try to show his fangs. We are now going to present you a very rare and unusual fight, and which will prove to you that size and physique are not really what determines victory. Far from it. Enjoy the incredible show that these two extreme fighters offer us, and that we could almost swear that they came straight out of the Street Fighter franchise. This fight between Zangief and Honda pits an MMA fighter against an authentic sumotori who was literally pumped up. This giant with a huge belly was hoping to make a bite out of his opponent, but he would soon understand his error of judgment, because although he is much smaller than him, his rival is rather muscular and agile, and he knows very well how to send jabs and hooks. The huge sumotori will try to use his impressive mass of fat to help him choke his opponent against the ropes, but nothing makes it, because this last one succeeds each time in releasing itself and in assailing him with powerful punches in the ribs and on all the body. It is finally Zangief who will have the last word, since he will finish by sending his gigantic adversary on the ground after having well out of breath, however. And as always on your beloved YouTube channel, we've saved the best for last with this sequence that you're sure to remember for a long time. It's about the fierce fight on the ring between a venerable and authentic Wing Chun master and young MMA champion specialized in Muay Thai. The old Kung Fu master will have to face a young man in his prime and moreover practicing one of the most violent sports in the world. But thanks to his inner chi and his total mastery of martial arts, this old man with a puny appearance will resist without batting an eyelid to the devastating attacks of his opponent. Withstanding the most powerful blows and strikes without flinching, the old master demonstrated that even at 80 years old and more, one can still be as strong and tough just by training assiduously and relentlessly. And that's it for today. What do you think of these 10 martial arts fighters who shocked the world with their incredible feats and achievements? Which one of them impressed you the most? Tell us in the comments, and if you liked this video, don't forget to put a like and subscribe and activate the notifications. See you soon for new discoveries out of the ordinary.